Most of the prestigious sects, those who walk the path of absolute power, are concentrated in the north. A close-up shows a hand gripping a cup, the atmosphere tense. In the south, however, one force reigns above all, the Namsung clan, backed by 5 of the most powerful families. Inside a grand meeting hall, leaders from various factions sit facing each other. At the same time, many dark sects operate in the south as well, centered around the Pachon Palace. A stern man with a tied-back hairstyle speaks. It seems the coming battle will take place along the Yangtze River. Another leader wearing a red robe clenches his fist as he speaks firmly. The Namsung clan is one of our strongest allies. We must secure them and establish a defensive line to protect them. A man with a sharp gaze responds. If they hold their position, the enemy won't be able to cross easily. A bearded warrior leans forward, his tone cautious. That's a reasonable plan. However, if the dark sects move first and strike the Namsung clan, they won't be able to withstand the attack. The red-robed man turns slightly, urgency in his voice. That's why we need to provide support immediately. The camera shifts behind him, showing the entire room listening closely. Even so, it will take more than 2 days to reach them. We must dispatch reinforcements as soon as possible. An elderly monk, calm and composed, finally speaks. They haven't made their move yet. The view widens, showing all leaders focused on him. Even if they seek revenge, bringing down the 5 great families won't be easy. Without proper leadership, they won't act recklessly. He continues, unshaken. They're likely too preoccupied, trying to establish a new head for the Pachon Palace. A side profile of the monk as he concludes. So there's no need to rush blindly. We should wait and see how things unfold. A brief pause, then a low voice breaks the silence. But a man with a sharp, serious expression looks forward. I'm certain the Namsung clan is already coordinating with the other major families. His expression hardens. But if we wait for their response, it may already be too late. Suddenly, another man speaks up, holding attention. Our southern branch has sent a messenger pigeon. 2 men react immediately, surprised. Oh, what does it say? The messenger delivers the report. The dark sects, they have already begun to move. The room grows heavier as the report continues. Many sects have gathered at the Pachon Palace, but one is missing. A man with a long mustache narrows his eyes, thinking deeply. I believe that missing sect is acting separately, preparing something far more dangerous. A wide view of the council hall shows all the leaders seated on both sides, tension filling the room as one man stands at the center, deep in thought. A low murmur escapes him. The same man lifts his head, his expression firm. Either way, we must come up with a plan quickly. A burly red-bearded warrior looks up, confused. A plan for what? The man in the red robe turns slightly, gripping his fan as he explains. The Dark Path sects have all gathered at the Pachon Palace, but one sect is missing. They've scattered, most likely to regroup and consolidate their strength. The elderly monk looks at him calmly. Then the man continues, addressing the room. So you're suggesting we form a coalition, uniting all of the Light Path sects? Another leader immediately raises a concern. Then what about the chief? The discussion intensifies as the proposal hangs in the air. If we're forming a coalition, we must first decide where the headquarters will be. A close-up of the red-robed man shows his growing irritation. We don't have time for this nonsense. The scene shifts. A vast view of the Namsung clan's territory appears. Large buildings, structured streets, and a powerful presence. Within the training grounds, rows of monks in yellow robes practice in unison, their movements disciplined and precise. Suddenly, pigeons burst into the sky, wings flapping rapidly as they scatter in all directions. From a distance, several monks watch the flock fly off toward the mountains, sensing urgency. A caption appears over a distant structure, Namsung clan. A pigeon swiftly flies through a wooden gate, heading straight inside. It lands on a perch near an open window, a small message tied to its leg. A hand reaches out and unties the scroll. A man in orange robes holds the message up, his expression sharpening as he reads. He speaks with firm resolve. To oppose the Pachon Palace, the 9 united sects will proceed as follows. The message continues, its tone decisive. First, the righteous coalition will be formed to stand against the Pachon Palace. This will be a temporary alliance, one that will be dissolved once the situation is resolved. The scene fades into a distant view of a grand palace under a red sky, signaling the beginning of a coming storm. A quiet bamboo forest sways gently in the wind, sunlight filtering through the tall green stalks. The scene shifts to a peaceful pavilion surrounded by autumn trees, their leaves tinted red and gold, reflecting softly over a calm pond. Inside the pavilion, a man and a woman sit across from each other, sharing tea in silence. The man slowly pours tea, his expression tense as he reads a letter. This is not looking good. The woman, holding her cup delicately, looks at him with concern. What's the matter, dear? The man lowers his gaze to the message, his voice heavy. They've formed the righteous coalition. The woman's eyes widen slightly as the weight of those words sink in. The contents of the letter unfold. Second,
The Shaolin will lead the coalition, and their leader, Grandmaster Young Ho, will serve as the head. The leaders of each sect and the great warriors of Murim will act as elders. The scene shifts to a grand temple complex, its reflection shimmering across the water as the sun sets. A pigeon flies past the towering structure carrying the message onward. It lands on a balcony where an elderly man retrieves the letter and begins to read. The message continues. Third, each sect must choose disciples to send to the coalition. Fourth, each sect will obey the coalition's decisions without question. The elderly man looks out over a distant mountainous region, his expression grim. It seems there truly will be a bloodbath in Gangho. Inside a room, a younger man approaches respectfully. "Father, you called for me." The elder turns, his decision already made. "Go and gather some of the finest warriors in our clan, at once." The younger man looks startled. "What? May I ask why? Has the Pei Chen Palace already?" The elder cuts him off, his tone firm. "The righteous coalition has been formed. Each sect is required to send disciples." He continues, his gaze sharp. "They intend to stop the Pei Chen Palace before it can act. That is why we must leave for the Namsung clan with our disciples." The younger man steps forward, determined. "Then I shall go, father." But the elder shakes his head. "No, you need to stay and protect the clan as its head." He pauses briefly before continuing. "As for me, I have nothing tying me down. I will go and see an old friend." The younger man's expression tightens with concern. "We're dealing with the Pei Chen Palace. You can't go alone, father." The elder looks forward, resolute. "I must hurry. The Pei Chen Palace is their target, and I need to help my friend in the Namsung clan before anything happens to him." The scene suddenly shifts to the sound of galloping horses. A rider charges forward at full speed through a fortress gate, dust kicking up behind him. He shouts urgently, "Emergency!" The rider leaps off his horse and rushes inside. "Sir, I bring urgent news. The Pei Chen Palace, it has begun to move." Inside the hall, a man in purple robes reacts in shock, shouting, "Is that true? Where?"
A vast rocky landscape stretches under a red-tinted sky, jagged mountains rising in the distance as dust clouds drift across the barren ground. In the distance, a formation of riders charges forward, their movement kicking up thick clouds of dust. A closer view reveals armed warriors on horseback, riding at full speed with banners trailing behind them. One of the riders, a mustached commander with a fur-lined cloak, shouts with urgency, "Hurry, we must reach the Namgung family before the Pei Chen Palace does." The cavalry surges forward like a wave, thundering across the open land. The scene shifts to a dark forest at night, where another group rides through the trees, torches flickering as they push forward without slowing. A banner flutters violently in the wind as they ride. A stern, older commander, wrapped in a red cloak, speaks firmly. "Even if we must ride through the night, we have to arrive at the Zhuge family in the Wucheng district by morning." His expression sharpens as he continues. "Once we join forces with the Zhuge family, we will head straight to the Namgung family." He raises his voice, commanding the troops. "Move quickly. Among the 5 great families, we must be the first to act and strengthen the alliance." The riders press on through the darkness, their torches forming a river of fire between the trees. The scene shifts back to calm daylight. Sunlight pours over a tall, elegant building, beams of light cutting through the air. A peaceful pond reflects flowers and soft ripples across the water's surface. In a garden filled with blooming trees, a young woman stands quietly, concern in her eyes. It's been quite tense lately because of all the rumors. A cheerful man beside her laughs lightly, trying to reassure her. "Ha, there's nothing to worry about, my dear." They begin walking together along a wooden path lined with blossoms. The man continues confidently, "We don't know when the Pei Chen Palace will strike." The woman listens silently as they walk. The man gestures calmly. No matter how strong they are, the righteous path still has the 9 great sects and the 5 great families. They enter a building, continuing their conversation. The woman speaks again, her voice uneasy. "But there are rumors that our great Sky clan might be the Pei Chen Palace's first target because it's so close." Inside, as they sit near a table, the man responds thoughtfully. "Since the Great Sky clan is the largest among the 5 great families, it's possible they could become a target." A close-up of the man calmly holding his teacup, his expression composed. "But we don't have to worry about that for—" Suddenly, a sharp scream cuts through the air. "Ah!" The woman turns in shock, her eyes wide, while the man beside her snaps his head toward the sound. A young boy comes sprinting down the wooden corridor, panic written all over his face. "Wah!" He reaches out desperately as he runs. "Father!" The woman gasps, her voice trembling. "Siu! Siu!" In an instant, a dark figure drops from above. The impact is violent. The boy is struck down mid-run, his small body collapsing to the ground. Silence follows. The woman's body trembles as she falls to her side, her voice barely escaping. "Siu! Siu!" The room goes still. The man stands frozen, staring ahead. On the floor, the boy lies motionless. A figure stands at the entrance. The father's face tightens, a vein pulsing as his eyes fill with fury. "Who are you?" The intruder steps forward, cloaked in black, his presence suffocating. His voice is calm, almost mocking. "Oh, truly impressive." He tilts his head slightly. "To remain so composed even after your son just died right before your eyes?" The father explodes in rage, shouting, "I said, who are you?" The man's face is partially hidden beneath a straw hat, his tone cold. "The Blood Shadow Corps." The father's eyes widen in horror. "The Blood Shadow Clan?" A chilling explanation follows. The Blood Shadow, a group of elite assassins from the Peicheon Palace, known to strike fear into all. Without hesitation, the father draws his weapon, launching forward in a burst of speed, his blade cutting through the air toward the assassin.
The father stands over his fallen wife, gripping his weapon tightly, his voice heavy with regret. "I'm sorry. I have troubled you so much without ever repaying you." He lowers his weapon slightly, speaking to her one last time. "Go ahead. I'll follow right behind you." His expression hardens instantly. In a sudden burst of movement, he lunges forward, a close-up of the woman's lifeless face, her eyes slowly fading. The assassin watches calmly from beneath his straw hat. "He's extraordinary. No wonder the captain personally asked me to come." His voice turns cold. "If you don't want your subordinates to die, you should face back Myung yourself." The father tightens his grip, his aura flaring as killing intent fills the room. The two stand facing each other, one burning with rage, the other completely composed. The assassin lets out a low, mocking remark. "How frightening, but I'm not someone who loses his nerve." In an instant, the father launches into the air, descending with explosive force. Their weapons collide. A violent clash echoes as sparks and shockwaves burst outward. The father swings his polearm with overwhelming strength, pressing the attack relentlessly. The assassin meets every strike with precise, minimal movement, deflecting each blow. Steel clashes against steel. The assassin slips inside the attack range and counterstrikes. The father's body jerks as the hit lands. Gah! They exchange blows at blinding speed, the air tearing apart with each strike. The father grits his teeth, frustration building. "Damn it! If this continues, I won't be able to protect my disciples and family." The assassin suddenly shifts, his blade cutting forward with a sharp, precise motion. The father's eyes widen in shock. In the next instant, the assassin closes the distance. Their weapons collide again at point-blank range, the impact sending shockwaves through the room. The father braces himself, blocking the strike with sheer force, his muscles straining against the assassin's overwhelming precision. The assassin's eye sharpens beneath the brim of his hat. He senses something. In an instant, a spiraling force shoots forward like a coiling drill, tearing through the air toward him. It strikes. The assassin's body jolts as the impact lands. A surge of power erupts. The father's eyes glow with fury as he drives the attack forward. The assassin is forced back mid-air, his body twisting under the pressure. He lands and steadies himself, clicking his tongue in irritation. Darn. The father raises his weapon, maintaining pressure, not giving him a moment to recover. In a swift motion, the assassin flicks his blade. The father's weapon is knocked from his grasp, spinning away through the air. The assassin catches his blade cleanly, regaining control of the flow of battle. The two face each other once more. The father stands tall, despite everything, his voice steady. As one warrior to another. The assassin lifts his sword, his tone calm and final. "Thank you. Let's settle this once and for all." The assassin raises his blade, energy gathering around him like a storm. "I'll settle this with the wide flash strike." Across from him, the father steadies himself, flames of aura rising. "I can't let this drag on, not with these injuries." He launches forward. In an instant, countless streaks of energy spiral outward, forming a deadly web around him as he spins through the air. The power surges, his attack expands in all directions, cutting through everything in its path. The assassin's eyes widen. He's caught in the storm. The father's voice roars through the chaos, flinging momentum form. The energy tightens. Wide flash strike! The attack crashes down. Blades of force spiral and slam into the assassin, striking from every angle. The impact sends shockwaves tearing across the ground. The father lands, breathing heavily. Behind him, the assassin staggers. For a brief moment, it seems like it's over. The father turns his head slightly, exhausted, his body reaching its limit. Then, a sudden surge of energy erupts behind him. The assassin stands, unharmed. His weapon hums with power, still wrapped in a swarming aura. His voice remains calm. If I were even a second late, I would have been the one to fall. He tilts his head slightly, acknowledging the strike. I knew he was stronger with a spear, so I used a sword with a whirling edge. He looks at the father with cold respect. Truly amazing. No one knew about your true ability. A final pause. If you had used that ability when I didn't have a sword, you would have won. The father stands still, silent. The assassin delivers the final words. I admit defeat.
The air is heavy, thick, suffocating. A man stands in silence, his face swallowed by shadow, only one eye visible, cold, lifeless. Beside him, another figure, calm, composed, hands pressed together like a monk in prayer, yet the faint presence around him feels sharp, dangerous. This is no place for peace. From above, a wide hall comes into view. Tables, chairs, scattered without order. Figures lie across the floor, motionless. Some slumped, some collapsed, as if whatever happened here ended in an instant. No struggle, just complete, overwhelming force. Far away, under a sky painted in burning orange, a massive palace rises above the trees. Layered towers, elegant structures, a symbol of authority, of control. This is Peach Blossom Palace, where schemes are born and destinies are rewritten. Inside one of its chambers, two men sit across from each other. A map lies between them, the board already set, the pieces already moving. One of them speaks, calm, precise. They've completed their task. The clans of Huashan, Fuchsia, Ji, even the smaller factions like Anyi and Guangdong, all of them captured. Not one escaped. A brief silence follows. Then the other man responds. Is that so? No surprise, no excitement. Only quiet acknowledgement, as if this outcome was expected from the very beginning. But then, a small complication emerges. The Light Path clans in the north, they still haven't heard the news. They remain unaware, for now. A sharp glance, suspicion flickers. The Beggars sect, shouldn't they have spread the word already? A faint smile appears, almost amused. The Beggars sect, allies of the Light Path. If anything happened, they would be the first to warn them. But that's exactly why they won't. Because the truth has already been buried. False reports, carefully crafted lies, sent out ahead of time, delivered through trusted channels, dozens of them, each one slightly different, each one convincing enough to create doubt, confusion, hesitation. By the time the truth surfaces, it'll already be too late. Just a few days, that's all they need. A few days to confirm everything and close the trap completely. A hand tightens around a folding fan. A quiet nod follows. Excellent. Good work. Everything is falling into place, like a perfectly arranged board, each piece moving exactly where it should. Soon, all the major sects will fall into the hands of Peach Blossom Palace, one after another, without escape. But not all have fallen, not yet. One name remains. Hunan, still standing, still resisting. A calm voice breaks the silence. Not yet, but it won't last. Confidence fills the room, cold, absolute. I know. Hunan will fall too. There is no doubt, no hesitation. Only certainty. Because this isn't just a plan, it's an extermination. The eradication of the Light Path is proceeding flawlessly. A piercing gaze follows, sharp, calculating. Tell me, can you wipe out 5 major families at the same time? The question lingers, heavy, deliberate. Then comes the answer, slow, controlled. If 4 of the strongest families join forces, then yes, the trap will be complete. For a moment, silence. Then suddenly, laughter erupts, loud, excited, unrestrained. I can't wait. I want to see how this unfolds, but just as quickly, that excitement fades. His expression hardens, eyes narrowing, voice lowering. Still, what truly interests me is not what's happening now. A pause, a quiet breath, but what comes next, and in that moment, the room grows colder.
A faint smile forms on his lips, cold and confident as he speaks, saying their plan will unfold exactly as intended. A loud laugh immediately follows, bursting with arrogance. Of course it will. There was never any doubt. Everything has already been set in motion, and now, all that remains is to watch the world fall into place exactly as they predicted. Far from the palace, beneath a sky painted with streaks of burning orange, a quiet city rests in the distance. It looks peaceful, almost untouched, as if nothing could disturb its calm. But that calm won't last. The massive front gate stands firm, guarding the sect within, tall and unyielding like a shield against the unknown. Inside, a wide training ground is alive with motion. Dozens of disciples move together in perfect rhythm, their voices ringing out across the courtyard. Ha! Twa! Each strike is sharp and disciplined, every step is controlled. The sound of blades slicing through the air mixes with the pounding of feet against the ground. This is a place built on strength, a place preparing for something greater. Deeper within, the atmosphere changes.
A bamboo forest sways gently under golden light, leaves rustling softly as the wind passes through. Then suddenly, a figure moves. A young swordsman grips his blade tightly, his body tensing for just a moment before he explodes into action. Cha! His sword crashes down, slicing cleanly through bamboo in a single strike, the impact sharp and precise. But he doesn't stop. In one fluid motion, he launches himself upward, rising into the air with incredible speed, as if carried by the wind itself. His voice cuts through the sky. First form of the infinite blue sky sword arts, blue sky flying falcon. His body twists mid-air, movements smooth and controlled, yet filled with power. Like a falcon diving from above, his presence feels fast and deadly. Energy gathers around him, tightening as he prepares the next strike. He flips, suspended for a brief instant, before descending. Second form of the infinite blue sky sword arts, unlimited blue sky. Slashes burst outward one after another, continuous and overwhelming, like endless waves crashing forward without pause. The force tears through the surroundings, grass and bamboo scattering under the pressure. Still, he continues without hesitation. With another powerful leap, he rises again, higher this time. Third form of the infinite blue sky sword arts. The air around him begins to spiral, energy condensing into a tight rashing current that wraps around his body and blade. His descent begins. Fast, direct, unstoppable. Harmony of the blue sky. The spiraling force tightens as he drives downward, pulling everything into the center of his strike. The attack lands with precision and overwhelming force, as if the sky itself has collapsed into a single point. And then, silence. The forest stands still as the last traces of energy fade into the air. Only the aftermath remains.
The attack crashes down with overwhelming force. A spiraling torrent of energy drills straight into the ground, kicking up dust, splintering bamboo, and shaking the forest as if the sky itself had fallen. The impact echoes, then fades. At the center of it all, the young swordsman lands, crouched low, his blade still gripped tightly in his hand. He exhales heavily. Sweat drips from his face, his breathing rough, his body clearly pushed to its limit. But even so, there's satisfaction in his eyes. Then, a voice cuts through the forest. Amused, calm. Ho-ho, Jinnah! Looks like it's not going the way you wanted. The young man glances back. An old figure stands behind him, quiet yet imposing, his presence far deeper than it appears. Jinnah quickly straightens and bows his head. You've arrived, grandfather. The old man observes him closely, eyes sharp despite his age. Seeing you drenched in sweat and noticing your training was interrupted, I assume you're feeling irritated. Jinnah lowers his gaze slightly. Yes, grandfather. The old man steps forward, his expression softening just a bit. At your age, your father hadn't mastered the infinite blue sky sword arts to the level you have. There is no mockery in his tone, only acknowledgement. Don't be too hard on yourself. Your progress is remarkable. Jinnah listens quietly, but his grip tightens slightly around his sword. I want to master the imperial sword arts as soon as possible. His voice is firm, driven. The old man doesn't respond immediately. Instead, he calmly explains, once you fully master the infinite blue sky sword arts, you'll reach a level that even your father never attained. Jinnah pauses, surprised. But the old man continues, no matter what you do, there is no shortcut. The pain you're enduring now is all part of reaching the zenith. Jinnah runs a hand through his hair, frustration still lingering, but he listens. An elite warrior is someone who continuously refines every component of their attack while overcoming any obstacle in their path. The old man turns slightly, his robes swaying with the motion. To become a master, you must first become an elite. Then his voice deepens. In truth, there are very few who can be called masters. Those who reach the zenith stand at the very peak. If you endure the hardship, you will reach that level. The two begin walking through the bamboo forest, leaves crunching softly beneath their feet. After a moment, Jinnah speaks again. What lies beyond the zenith? The old man stops. His gaze lifts slightly, as if recalling something distant. Beyond the zenith lies the absolute zenith. Those who reach it possess abilities that differ from person to person, depending on their experience. He pauses, then adds, but the true state beyond the zenith, it is called sublimation. Jinnah's eyes sharpen. Sublimation? It is also known as divine sublimation. As the name suggests, it is the act of becoming something greater.
The old man turns to face him. You must reach sublimation to truly understand ki-guided swordsmanship. Jin'e tilts his head slightly. Ki-guided sword? The explanation comes calmly. That level is also referred to as sight blade arts. It is the ability to control blades purely through ki without relying on physical movement. Jin'e's eyes widen slightly. The old man continues. Sight blade arts is a skill that can only be achieved after surpassing sublimation and activating divine vision. Jin'e looks at him more seriously now. Then what level are you, grandfather? The old man meets his gaze. Are you curious? A brief pause. Jin'e answers without hesitation. Yes. The old man's expression turns calm, almost unreadable. If you master the infinite blue sky sword arts, you will have already stepped into the early stages of sublimation. Jin'e freezes, his eyes widen in shock. What? What does that mean?
The old man lets out a low laugh, his eyes gleaming with quiet pride as he looks at Jin'e. If you've mastered the infinite blue sky sword arts, then you've already stepped into the early stages of sublimation. His words land heavily. Then he continues, calm but firm. If you truly want to reach the peak of sublimation, then your next step is clear. You must master the imperial sword arts. Jin'e's eyes widen slightly as realization hits him. That means you've already reached the peak of sublimation? The old man doesn't deny it, but his expression remains composed. There are many who have reached the stage I stand in. He turns his gaze toward the forest as if recalling distant battles. But among them, the one who truly stands at the top is the master of the void state. His tone deepens. And the only ones who can challenge him are those who have defeated him before. Jin'e listens carefully, absorbing every word. Then he asks, are there stages beyond the void state? The old man hums softly, thinking. It is said that if you surpass the void state, you could harm others with nothing but a thought. Jin'e's expression stiffens. But the old man continues. This is known as the life and death state. He pauses briefly. But no one has ever reached it. A quiet silence follows before the old man lets out a small chuckle. It may very well be an impossible realm. Then he looks directly at Jin'e. But why not try? Why not be the one to reach it? Jin'e blinks, caught off guard. Me? The old man turns slightly, his voice steady and filled with intent. Once you master the imperial sword arts, you will reach sublimation. He takes a step forward. Your grandfather has already cleared the path ahead of you. Now all that's left is for you to walk it. His eyes sharpen. So go beyond sublimation and aim for the life and death state. A faint laugh escapes him, confident, almost certain. Jin'e lowers his gaze for a moment, then clenches his fist. I understand. His voice is firm now. I'll reach that level, no matter what. The scene shifts. A large building stands under the fading light, its shadow stretching long across the ground. Inside, the mood is far from calm. A man frowns, his brows tightly knit. They're too quiet. Another man responds, his tone serious. They should have made their move by now. A third voice cuts in, dismissive but uneasy. Either way, it's strange. It's not like the light path to stay this silent. The camera pulls back, revealing several men gathered around a table. Tension fills the room. What do you think? One of them leans forward slightly. There's definitely movement behind the scenes. But something's off. Our eyes and ears have been cut off. His gaze sharpens. We just haven't noticed it yet. Another adds, his voice low. It wouldn't be surprising if they were already attacking us right now. The room falls quiet. Then, a decision is made. We strengthen our defenses immediately, as if the enemy is already at our doorstep. Another voice follows quickly. We also need to gather the remaining Lightpath clans in Hunan. If we're attacked suddenly, we won't be able to handle it alone. One of the men turns, asking, when will the other major families arrive? A reply comes without hesitation. The northern Wangbo family and the Habuk family have already crossed the Yangtze River. And the Sichuan Dang family, he pauses slightly. Their elder is on the move as well, leading a force of elite warriors. The tension rises, because now, the war that was carefully planned in the shadows is finally beginning to take shape.
Inside the hall, tension lingers as the discussion continues. One man turns slightly, addressing the other. Uncle Dang, my father said he'd arrive soon. When will he get here? The reply comes calmly. He was in Hunan just yesterday. He should arrive within a few days. That brings a small sense of relief, but only for a moment. Another question follows immediately. What about the 9 great factions? The man in the center lowers his gaze slightly. I don't know. His tone is steady but heavy. I have no idea what the righteous order is planning. A laugh suddenly cuts through the room. Confident, almost dismissive. There's nothing to worry about, just let everything play out. But not everyone agrees. A voice answers sharply. We need their strength if we want to survive. The room grows quiet again. The man continues, more serious now. Individually, we're strong, but against the Peach Blossom Palace alone, he pauses. We're not enough. His eyes harden. The entire Dark Path has already unified under them, and every clan of the Dark Path recognizes them as their leader. The weight of those words sinks in. When Peach Blossom Palace moves, the entire Dark Path will move with them. Silence falls over the table. Then someone asks, "So what are you suggesting?" The answer comes without hesitation. I believe the Namgung family should take control of the North. For a split second, no one reacts. Then, what? Shock erupts across the room. One man slams forward, furious. Are you insane? Do you understand the chaos that would cause? But the man in the center doesn't flinch. That's exactly how urgent this situation is. His voice remains calm but firm. We must hold our ground until the 9 great sects and the Light Path clans arrive to support us. Another man clenches his jaw, thinking, since the righteous order will mobilize from each sect, reinforcements will come. A brief pause. The real question is, can we survive until then? The man at the center doesn't answer immediately. His eyes narrow slightly, because deep down, he already knows the answer. Suddenly, the door bursts open. A guard rushes in, stumbling forward. Sir, sir! His breathing is ragged, panic written all over his face. It's an emergency. Everyone turns sharply toward him. What happened? The guard shouts, barely able to contain himself. The Peach Blossom Palace has made their move. A brief silence. Then a calm voice responds. We expected this, but the next words change everything. They've taken control of every clan from Fujian, Guangdong, Jiangxi, and Zhejiang, and they're advancing at full speed toward Hunan. The room freezes, eyes widen. What? The men rise from their seats, shock sprinting instantly. What did you just say? Because now, this isn't just a threat anymore. The war they feared has already begun.
The guard's voice trembles as he speaks. They're already on their way here. The room stiffens instantly. One man narrows his eyes, unease creeping in. How could this be? But the guard continues, forcing the words out. There's a member of the beggar sect from the Nanchang branch waiting outside. That changes everything. Bring him in, now. The command is sharp, immediate. Moments later, a battered man is brought inside. His clothes are torn, his body covered in dust and blood, barely able to remain upright as he drops to his knees. I am Yem B of the beggar sect's Nanchang branch. The leader steps forward, gaze piercing. What did you see? The messenger swallows hard, struggling to speak. Our pigeons carried messages from Fujian, Guangdong, Zhejiang. At first, nothing seemed unusual. His voice shakes. But then, there was a sudden attack. Almost everyone was wiped out. Even the branch leader is either dead or missing. Silence crashes down. The branch sent me here before they fell. A man stares in disbelief, his eyes wide. How is this possible? The truth begins to form. If that's the case, then every Light Path clan in the south has already surrendered. The messenger nods weakly. It's true. Not a single clan resisted. They've all collapsed. My goodness. Shock spreads across every face in the room. Then urgency returns. Brother, quickly, inform every Light Path clan in Hunan to gather here. But before the order can even settle, a cold voice cuts in. No, they're not here to occupy Hunan. The room turns toward him. Someone just confirmed it. Not a single clan survived. The meaning is clear. This isn't control. This is extermination. The man continues, his mind racing ahead. In order to succeed in a surprise attack, timing is everything. The beggar sect is closest to Peach Blossom Palace, so they were eliminated first. His eyes narrow. Then false information was spread to confuse the central regions and ambush the Light Path clans one by one. The room tightens with tension. Here in Hunan, our information network is faster. But even so, we haven't received any bad news yet. A quiet agreement follows. You're right. Then the realization hits. A cold, unavoidable truth. We're probably their last target. The air turns heavy. No one speaks. Moments later, a higher authority arrives. The old master stands at the front, calm as ever, while Jenna stands beside him. We've heard the situation. His voice is steady. Have you come up with a solution? All eyes turn forward. One man steps out. We need to buy time. If we can hold our ground for just 5 days, we can survive. But if we fail, we die. Another adds, more grimly, if they combine their forces to attack, we won't last until reinforcements arrive. A heavy silence follows. Then, a desperate suggestion. We could retreat north, regroup, and survive. But before the thought can take root, impossible. The old master's voice cuts through everything. Cold, absolute. Even if our family falls here, we will not run. His gaze sharpens, filled with unshakable resolve. Everyone will defend this family's honor until their very last breath. The audience stands still. No hesitation, no doubt. Only resolve. 5 figures step forward, their presence heavy, unwavering, ready to face what's coming, because now there is no escape, only war.
Night falls over the compound, but inside the tension only grows. A voice begins laying out the situation clearly. Right now, the Namgung family has around 200 warriors. They're being joined by forces from the Ping clan, bringing their total to roughly 370. Another voice follows, adding more weight to the numbers. 300 more are coming from the 5 major families, and from the 8 great sects, another 50. The conclusion is simple. In total, we're looking at around 500 men. A brief pause. Additionally, about 300 light path warriors are gathering here. All eyes turn toward the speaker. He narrows his gaze. That gives us roughly 800 troops. But the mood doesn't lift. Instead, someone speaks coldly. Even so, the enemy outnumbers us 3-1. Silence. The reality sinks in. An older warrior suddenly slams his hand down, veins bulging with impatience. Just give the word and I'll go. His intent is clear. He's ready to charge into battle, no hesitation. But another man laughs lightly, shaking his head. I understand your spirit, but there's no need to rush blindly. His tone sharpens. Don't forget, recklessness only makes things worse. He leans forward slightly. For a surprise attack, brute force isn't the answer. We need precision, stealth, proper strategy. Another voice joins in. This operation is about speed. We strike fast and withdraw immediately. The room nods in agreement. Then, a suggestion is made. In that case, I recommend Yang Ah. The speaker continues calmly. She may not be the strongest, but her knowledge of formations and strategy is exceptional. She'll be useful. Another man adds with confidence. If we're talking about combat ability, my nephews will prove valuable as well. The leader listens, then gives a short nod. Good. Submit a list of names. The plan begins to take shape. Elsewhere, the next phase has already begun. Advance party. The words hang in the air like a signal of war. Outside, under the fading sky, warriors move into position. A voice reports urgently. The Peach Blossom Palace has already begun advancing. Inside another hall, leaders gather. The south has already fallen into their hands. A man frowns deeply. Wasn't this supposed to be just a small movement? This doesn't make sense. Another slams his fist, anger rising. The south doesn't collapse this fast unless something went terribly wrong. An old man clutches his head, breathing heavily. I don't know, but all the information we received came from the beggar sect. His voice trembles. This is a disaster. We've walked straight into their trap. The room stiffens. What trap? A calm but sharp voice answers. We trusted the beggar sect's reports, but looking at everything now, his eyes darken. The branches near Peach Blossom Palace were already compromised, and the information we received was most likely fabricated. The realization spreads like wildfire. The homing pigeons, the reports, all false. A man clenches his fist, rage boiling over. How could this happen? If the South has already fallen, but before panic can fully erupt, a voice cuts through, steady and firm. Not yet. The room turns, because despite everything, despite the chaos, the deception, the overwhelming enemy, there is still one thing left, hope, and the battle is far from over.
A firm voice cuts through the tension. There is still no news that Hunan has fallen, and the Namgung family is still holding their ground. The room steadies, just slightly. Hope, fragile, but still alive. It's not too late. He leans forward, eyes sharp. The Namgung family and the unorthodox alliance must be protected at all costs. No hesitation. We must send reinforcements immediately. An old man looks around uneasy. What do you all think? The response comes quickly, but not with optimism. No matter how fast we send reinforcements, disciples and sects from each region will take at least half a month to arrive. A heavy silence follows. Wouldn't that already be too late? Another voice rises, more decisive. Then we should go ourselves. Heads turn. We go to the south and take command of the Tong clan to face them directly. The urgency sharpens. The 4 of the mightiest families have already taken action to help the Namgung family. If we move now, we can still turn the tide. A man nods slowly. I agree with Leader Guok. We can't sit and wait. Then another adds, calculating the situation. Sending troops will take too long, so instead we send disciples first. A shift in strategy, faster, leaner, riskier. The elder finally speaks. All right, for now we send the disciples to buy time. His voice lowers with weight, and prepare a large wave of reinforcements to follow. The decision is made. The war has officially begun moving. Far from the war council, steam rises in a quiet bathhouse. A man sits calmly, soaking, completely unfazed. What, you don't want escorts into the south? His tone is relaxed, almost careless, but his eyes, cold. With the Peach Blossom Palace leader dead, the atmosphere in Gongho has become unstable. Elsewhere, in a small, dim room, 3 men sit around a table eating. The mood is tense, especially in the south, where many dark path clans are gathering. One of them looks troubled. I don't know if they'll accept you, but I can't guarantee your safety. The warning hangs in the air, but the younger man clenches his fists. They're no different from bandits. His voice tightens with frustration. It doesn't matter if we beg or fight, we can't stand a chance either way.
Another man, older, drinks casually. Honestly, lying low might be safer. He shrugs. If you head down there, escorts will definitely be watching. His eyes narrow slightly. There's a good chance they're hiding something. That's when the younger man snaps. Then what about me? His voice explodes with emotion. Has everything I've done here been for nothing? His frustration boils over. He grabs his hair, shouting in rage. The table shakes, bowls spill, the others recoil in shock. Wait, hey, what's wrong with you? One man panics as the outburst spirals. Why are you pulling your hair out? But it's too late. The pressure, the fear, the helplessness, everything is starting to break.
Protagonist, completely fed up, his face flushed with frustration as he blurts out he just wants to know when he'll finally reach Sichuan. The old man nearby doesn't take him seriously at all. Instead, he laughs, teasing him for still being inexperienced, saying he's far from becoming someone truly capable. After joking around, the old man finally gives him a real answer. If he travels alone, it'll take several months. The road won't be easy, but it's not impossible either. Then he adds something more meaningful. Hardships are unavoidable, but those struggles are exactly what will help him grow stronger. That makes the protagonist pause. He reflects for a moment, then quietly comes to a decision. He can't keep wasting time here doing small jobs just to scrape by. If he wants to move forward, he has to leave. Soon after, he prepares to depart, standing before the people who helped him along the way. The village leader looks at him calmly and admits they always knew this day would come. With respect, the protagonist thanks them sincerely for everything they've done. Before he leaves, the leader hands him some money for the journey, calling it travel expenses, a small gesture to help him get started. The protagonist accepts it with gratitude, says his goodbyes, and finally walks away from the village. But just as he's about to leave for good, a voice calls out, telling him to wait. It's the old man. Confused, the protagonist asks what he's doing, only to hear something completely unexpected. The old man casually says he's going along too. Naturally, the protagonist refuses. He points out the obvious. The old man's body isn't in any condition to travel that far. But the old man doesn't back down. He insists that since they've crossed paths, there's a connection between them now, and he plans to stick around. Before the protagonist can even argue, the old man suddenly runs off. Moments later, he forcefully inserts himself into the journey, clinging like he's already decided his place. Now the two are traveling together, though the protagonist is clearly annoyed, asking why he's being followed in the first place. Not long after, the old man starts struggling, complaining that moving too fast is making his injury worse. Then he reveals something important. His condition actually got worse because of what happened earlier when he helped the protagonist. That makes things awkward. The protagonist goes quiet, realizing he might be partly responsible. So instead of leaving him behind, he comes up with a rough solution. He ties the old man to a cart and starts dragging him along the road. The ride is anything but smooth. The old man yells in pain, telling him to slow down and do it properly. But the protagonist snaps back, saying he's never done anything like this before. As the cart rattles violently across the ground, the old man gets completely shaken around, while the protagonist complains under his breath about how he ended up stuck with such a troublesome companion. And just like that, their journey begins. Not as partners by choice, but as two completely mismatched travelers, bound together by circumstance and a whole lot of chaos.
The journey continues as the two finally arrive in a bustling town. The streets are alive, vendors shouting, people passing by, and the scent of food drifting through the air. It's a lively place full of energy, but for one of them, it's pure torture. The old man, still tied to the cart, groans in misery, complaining that even breathing is painful from the constant shaking. As they move deeper into the town, he weakly calls out to the protagonist, suggesting they stop for food. After all, they still have a long road ahead, and they'll need their strength. The protagonist doesn't even turn back. He coldly replies that since they've got a long way to go, they should focus on moving quickly instead. But the old man doesn't give up. He argues that traveling like this is already hard enough. At the very least, they should eat properly. That's when the protagonist snaps, clearly annoyed. He mocks the old man, saying it's absurd for someone who's basically pretending to be injured to be worrying about meals. Still lying there, the old man sighs and warns him if he skips meals now, he'll regret it later. The protagonist shuts it
down immediately. He simply says he doesn't have any money. But the old man suddenly bursts out calling him a liar. He claims he personally saw the protagonist receive travel money earlier. Without even looking back, the protagonist clarifies that money isn't for food, it's meant for something important later on. Hearing that, the old man instantly changes his tone. He starts wailing dramatically, shouting that he's starving, saying it feels like his skin is sticking to his bones. His loud complaints begin to draw attention from the people around them. Passers-by glance over, some whispering, others clearly concerned. Finally, someone steps in and offers to buy him a plate of dumplings. The old man, without hesitation, accepts, but at the same time loudly declares he'll never help anyone again, as if he's been deeply wronged. Soon after, a fresh basket of dumplings arrives, steaming hot. The two sit down at a table inside a small eatery. The old man leans in, eyes lighting up, commenting on how incredible the food smells. But the moment the food is served, he completely loses control. He starts devouring the dumplings at an unbelievable speed, stuffing his mouth without pause. The protagonist just watches, slightly stunned as the old man eats like he hasn't had food in years. Between bites, the old man casually tells him to eat too, but the protagonist declines, saying he already ate earlier on the road. Meanwhile, at a nearby table, a group of men chat among themselves. They mention recent rumors spreading through the region, talk of tension between powerful factions. Specifically, they bring up a well-known family and how conflict might soon break out. As the old man continues chewing, his expression subtly changes. For a brief moment, his usual carefree attitude disappears, replaced with something more serious. But just as quickly as it came, it's gone. He goes right back to eating. Then, suddenly, he looks down at the empty basket. Completely serious, he asks if he can order more dumplings.
Back at the restaurant, the old man raises his hand without hesitation. He orders 10 more servings of dumplings. The server freezes for a second, but still nods politely. Moments later, an entire towering stack of bamboo steamers is brought out. Even the people nearby can't help but stare. The protagonist looks completely stunned, watching as the old man prepares to devour everything like it's nothing. Someone nearby even jokes, there must be a whole separate stomach inside that old man. Not long after, the meal is over. The scene cuts to the open road once again. The two are traveling through a quiet forest path, the noise of the town now far behind them. At a fork in the road, the protagonist slows down near a wooden signpost pointing in different directions. Before he can decide, a loud burp echoes from behind him. The old man suddenly lifts his head, eyes widening. He quickly shouts for him to stop, telling him they're heading the wrong way. Confused, the protagonist turns back. The old man points toward the sign, explaining that the path they're taking leads to a provincial route, not where they should be going. Then he brings something else up. He asks if the protagonist didn't hear the rumors that there might be a fight breaking out soon in that direction. But the protagonist's expression doesn't change at all. He calmly says it doesn't matter to him whether there's a fight or not. That answer immediately frustrates the old man. He questions how someone can be so indifferent, but the protagonist stays firm. Fight or no fight, his goal hasn't changed. He's heading to Sichuan to find a prospective bride. For a moment, the old man goes silent. Then, with a sharp look, he asks a dangerous question. What if the woman he's supposed to marry is involved in that very conflict? The protagonist pauses, confused by what he means. That's when the old man finally reveals it. The bride he's searching for belongs to the Sichuan Tang family. And the protagonist? He hasn't been paying attention at all. The old man clicks his tongue, almost annoyed, because anyone who knows the situation would understand. The Tang family is one of the most powerful factions in the region, one of the so-called 8 great families. The protagonist simply responds, so? That's when the old man's expression turns serious, because if the Tang family's involved, then the opposing side can only be one thing, the Dang family, another force on the same level. And if those two collide, this isn't just a small conflict anymore. It's the kind of clash that could shake the entire region.
The protagonist listens quietly, then simply responds, so that's how it is. The old man explains further, the two powerful families aren't just rivals, they're closely connected. And now that one side is in danger, the other has already begun sending reinforcements. Then he drops a key point. There's a high chance the woman the protagonist is searching for is among those reinforcements. The protagonist doesn't react much. He just stares forward and calmly asks, so what? For a moment, even the old man looks surprised. Then the protagonist's expression shifts slightly, as if he's about to brush the whole thing off, but the old man cuts in. He warns him that if the woman he's meant to marry ends up dying in that conflict, he'll regret it for the rest of his life. That finally makes the protagonist stop. He turns, now taking the situation more seriously, and asks, then what should he do? Without hesitation, the old man gives his answer. Head to the Shaolin Temple. The protagonist is caught off guard. Why Shaolin? The old man sighs, almost as if explaining something obvious. He says the protagonist clearly doesn't understand the current situation in the martial world. Then his tone sharpens. He explains that the conflict is centered around a key location, a place known as the head of the dark path. And this isn't some small clash. Powerful figures from all over are gathering there. No one strong is just going to sit back and watch. The alliances have already been formed, and without question, reinforcements have already been sent. The protagonist listens, then once again responds with a simple, "So?" The old man leans in slightly. If he joins those reinforcements, things will change. But before he can finish, the protagonist raises his hand, stopping him. He asks directly, why would he join them in the first place? That's when the old man finally reveals his angle. If he joins the reinforcement group, he'll naturally cross paths with the woman he's searching for. And more importantly, traveling with them would greatly reduce the danger of the journey. The protagonist thinks it over, but still isn't convinced. He says if his future bride isn't even there, it would all be a waste of time. So instead, he proposes another plan. He'll head north first, reach a port, and take a boat to Sichuan. It'll be faster than traveling on land. The old man nods slightly, but counters immediately. Even if the bride isn't there, members of that family will definitely be there. And wouldn't it be better to meet them first, to make a proper impression? The protagonist frowns. He understands the idea, but there's one problem. Why would people like that even accept him? That's when the old man smirks. He points out something the protagonist hasn't considered. He doesn't exactly have a strong background. Then, with a knowing look, the old man brings up his connection to Shaolin. He explains that Shaolin once saved his life, and because of that, he holds enough standing to at least get the protagonist introduced. He finishes with a quiet, confident question. Isn't that enough? The protagonist pauses. It finally starts to make sense, and deep down he realizes something unsettling. For someone who acts so carefree and ridiculous, this old man's instincts are frighteningly sharp.
The journey finally leads them to a legendary place, the Shaolin Temple. Bathed in the glow of the setting sun, the massive gates stand tall, quiet yet filled with history. The protagonist steps forward and greets respectfully, announcing his return after a long time. Behind him, the old man watches silently. Almost immediately, the monks at the gate react with surprise. They recognize him. They ask why he's back so suddenly. With a calm bow, the protagonist explains he's here to meet one of the elders. But then, their eyes shift. They notice the man standing behind him, and their expressions change. They ask who he is. For a brief moment, the protagonist hesitates, then gives a simple answer: a distant relative. The old man, however, smirks slightly and introduces himself casually. The monks exchange looks, but soon step aside. They welcome them in. Inside the temple grounds, everything is quiet, peaceful. But the old man's gaze slowly lifts toward the buildings, and something in his expression changes. A flicker of memory. A voice echoes in his mind. Has it really been 40 years? For a moment, the past and present seem to overlap. Elsewhere inside, an elderly master sits alone, dozing off at a table, completely relaxed. A young monk rushes in, calling out to him urgently, "Master, master!" Startled awake, the old man wipes his mouth, slightly confused. Then he hears the news. There are guests waiting. Moments later, the doors open. The protagonist stands respectfully at the entrance. Behind him, the old man. The elder looks up and freezes. For a second, there's silence. Then suddenly, he bursts into laughter. He recognizes him immediately. After all these years, they finally met again. The protagonist politely asks about his well-being. The elder waves it off, saying nothing has really changed. The two greet each other warmly, like old acquaintances. But in the background, the old man watches quietly, his expression unreadable. Then his thoughts begin to surface. He recalls the past, a time when a powerful figure, someone feared across the land, was chased out, driven away from a place known as the Pachian Palace, decades ago. And now, after all this time, that same person is standing here again, right in front of them. The tension thickens. The elder looks toward the protagonist, slightly confused. He asks a simple question. Who exactly is this man?
The old man steps forward with a faint smile, calmly saying it's been a long time. He casually remarks that the elder has changed quite a bit. At first, the elder doesn't recognize him. He stares closely, confused. The old man tilts his head slightly and asks, doesn't he remember? After all, it has been a very long time. And then it hits him. The elder's eyes widen in shock. His entire expression changes instantly. He shouts in disbelief, it's really him. Overcome with emotion, he rushes forward, grabbing the old man's hand, welcoming him back after all these years. Without wasting time, he brings him aside, eager to talk in private. Watching from a distance, the protagonist narrows his eyes. It's obvious now, these two aren't just acquaintances, they share a deep history. Seated together, the elder speaks with a heavy tone. He admits he was saddened when he heard the news. To him, someone like the old man shouldn't have fallen so easily, but the old man brushes it off with a quiet laugh. He says the outcome wasn't about strength, it was simply a matter of fate already decided. Then, with a smirk, he asks, wasn't the elder the one who tried to stop him back then? As they sip tea, the conversation turns more personal. The old man brings up the past, reminding him of a bold claim he once made, that if he ever came back to Shaolin, he would have already mastered the 3 great arts. The elder nods slowly. He remembers. And now he asks the question directly. Did he actually achieve it? The old man gives a vague answer. He says he's not entirely sure, but he's confident. That alone sends a chill through the room. The elder, clearly intrigued, leans forward, asking to see proof. The old man smirks again. He admits his body isn't what it used to be, but then adds, his disciple, on the other hand, has already surpassed a certain level, and soon the elder will see it for himself. From the side, the elder glances toward the protagonist. There's curiosity in his eyes, even a hint of amusement. It seems this disciple isn't someone ordinary. The old man's tone shifts, becoming colder, more serious. He states a harsh truth. In the world of martial artists, especially those of the dark path, only the strong survive, and in the coming conflict, countless lives will be lost. Then he reveals something crucial. His disciple has already gained a form of enlightenment, an awakened state of mind that sets him apart, and because of that, the techniques of the dark path will struggle to affect him. The elder listens carefully, then quietly responds, in the end, whether justice prevails or not, only time will tell. The scene shifts, a wide view of Shaolin's grounds, monks gather in formation, the atmosphere is tense, heavy, and then the announcement is made. The south has fallen into chaos, all because of the conflict surrounding the Pa-Chen Palace.
The situation in the martial world quickly becomes clear. Right now, only one major force stands against the chaos, the Namgung family. They're the last remaining pillar of the so-called light path in the south, and if they fall, there will be nothing left to stop the darkness from spreading. The scale of the conflict is massive. If the Pa-Chen Palace continues expanding its influence, it won't stop in the south. Its reach will extend all the way to the north. That's why a decision has been made. The major factions have formed a coalition. Their goal? Gather their strongest fighters and send reinforcements to support the Namgung family. One by one, the forces are revealed. Shaolin steps forward first, sending one of their highest-ranking figures along with the legendary 18 Arhats. Then, Manhwa joins, dispatching its leader and elite disciples. The Beggars sect follows, even their elder personally leading a group of skilled fighters. And finally, warriors from the northern regions arrive as well. With all of them combined, a powerful advance force is formed. Dozens of elite martial artists, each one capable in their own right. And as this army begins to move, the weight of their mission becomes clear. The fate of the light path now rests on their shoulders. The procession pushes forward through forest paths, horses galloping, armor clinking, everyone moving with urgency. Because if they arrive too late, the Namgung family may already be gone. But not everyone is convinced. Among the group, some begin to question things. One of them points out something strange. Why are certain people even part of this advance party? They don't seem to belong among such elite fighters. Their attention shifts toward a particular figure riding calmly among them, the protagonist. To others, he looks completely out of place. No uniform, no recognizable affiliation, just a young man with a bow and an unusual presence. And beside him, the old man, relaxed as ever, unbothered by the tension surrounding them. Whispers begin to spread. Some mock him, saying he doesn't fit in, that his presence lowers the quality of the entire group. But not everyone agrees. One sharp-eyed observer points something out. Despite his appearance, there's something different about him.
Even the old man joins in, casually teasing, asking if they really think so little of him. But then, a strange detail catches their attention. A bird perched calmly on the protagonist's shoulder. That alone is enough to raise suspicion, because in this world, that's not normal. Some begin to question it openly. Others dismiss him entirely, calling him nothing more than a random nobody. But one voice quietly counters, saying that sometimes those who look ordinary are the most dangerous. Meanwhile, the protagonist himself is clearly irritated. The bird on his shoulder won't stop bothering him. He clenches his teeth, trying to endure it, barely holding back his frustration. Behind him, someone watches and sighs in relief, muttering that disaster has, for now, been avoided. But the tension doesn't fade. If anything, it only grows stronger. Because within this marching army, there are hidden strengths, hidden intentions, and hidden dangers. And soon, all of it will collide on the battlefield.
The advance party moves out at full speed. Horses thunder across the ground, kicking up dust as dozens of warriors push forward without hesitation. No one slows down, because every second matters. At the front, the core fighters lead the charge. The protagonist rides calmly among them, steady and focused. Behind him, the old man follows just as casually, as if this were nothing more than a stroll. Suddenly, a figure appears ahead. An entire group blocks the path. A loud voice cuts through the air, ordering them to halt. The horses skid to a stop. Tension rises instantly. Hands move closer to weapons. But then, the man at the front introduces himself. He's from the Mudong faction, not an enemy, an ally. He explains that they've also been dispatched as reinforcements, another group heading toward the same battlefield. Soon after, another rider steps forward, a representative from Manhwa. He greets them respectfully, introducing himself and urging everyone to move quickly. The situation is getting worse by the minute. With that, the groups merge, their numbers grow, their presence becomes even more formidable. Night falls. The army sets up camp deep within the forest. A fire crackles in the center, casting flickering shadows across the gathered warriors. Some relax, some eat, some quietly observe. One of the beggars' sect members happily chews on his food, joking that camping like this isn't so bad after all. Nearby, a Manhwa disciple mutters that he expected a tougher journey, but thanks to the current pace, it's been manageable. Then the protagonist casually joins in, smiling as he holds up a freshly caught bird. He jokes that thanks to his friend, they'll be eating well tonight. Others begin giving advice, saying that proper meals will help maintain stamina for the battles ahead. But not everyone is impressed. Some quietly criticize him, saying his skills don't seem impressive, yet he's trying too hard to stand out. Others mock his approach entirely, calling his hunting style strange, like a mix of different techniques that don't belong together. Off to the side, a few warriors sit apart from the group. They watch everything carefully. One of them scoffs, saying it's ridiculous. They're heading into a life-and-death battle, and yet people are sitting around talking about food. Another adds bluntly, that kind of behavior has no dignity as a warrior. But then, someone suddenly suggests drinking, mentioning that since certain notorious individuals are present, it might be best to take advantage of the moment. That catches attention, confusion spreads. Then the explanation comes, a nickname, Samwang, the three madmen. And just like that, the tone shifts again, because among this group there are individuals known not just for strength, but for being completely unpredictable. One of them is described as someone obsessed with women, another known for reckless behavior, each one dangerous in their own way, and now all of them are gathered in one place, a powerful alliance but also a volatile one. The night deepens, and around a small campfire, the mood shifts. One man leans in, lowering his voice like he's sharing something dangerous. If that guy shows up, the brothels, the businessmen, even the courtesans all gather around him. The listener blinks, clearly impressed. Wow, I'm actually jealous. Another man chuckles, pointing casually. That guy is insane when it comes to swords. They call him the weapon maniac, Guak Samyang. The name alone carries weight. He's so obsessed, he doesn't even care whether his opponent is male or female. All he cares about is drawing his sword and striking. The image grows clearer. He even challenged a Shaolin priest once, a true master, and still he pushed the fight to the brink of death. The listener swallows. His desire to win must be unbelievable, but the storyteller just laughs. Nope, even if he challenges someone, he never wins. Confusion sets in. Wait, then does he just keep getting beaten? A smirk forms. No, he doesn't win, but he doesn't lose either. The tone shifts again.
I'm the alcoholic clown, Sangmaster. My master raised me in prison, and I was sold off by the beggar sect for alcohol. He pulls open his robe slightly, revealing hidden weapons strapped across his chest. When I get drunk, I unleash the 18 descending drunken arts, and that makes me pretty dangerous. Another voice joins, more composed. The three of us met at a brothel in Beijing, and through a strange connection, we became sworn brothers. We call ourselves the Sa Mang. A quiet pride lingers in his words. One of them laughs, looking into the fire. Guess it all started with the fall of the peach garden, just like those legendary brotherhoods. The mood turns playful again. Dansang, women are the true source of life's joy. They've been studied, pursued, and mastered for generations. Suddenly, a loud voice cuts in. Hey, are you trying to turn him into some kind of woman-obsessed maniac? The group bursts into laughter. Still, didn't you say you were going south soon? The conversation shifts again, more serious beneath the humor. If you want to truly understand women, you need experience. Meet many, learn many, that's how you find the right one. But another slams his hand against his chest confidently. A warrior's strength, that's what truly matters. On the battlefield, that's where everything is decided. Then, a laugh breaks the tension. This is getting interesting. One of them leans in closer, teasing. So tell me, how well do you actually understand women? The younger man hesitates. Well, before he can answer, a hand lands on his shoulder. Tisk, I knew it. That approach won't work. The fire crackles. The laughter fades slightly, because beneath the jokes, the teasing, the stories, all of them know the road ahead is only going to get more dangerous.
Fire crackles softly as laughter continues under the night sky. One of the men leans in, grinning. I'll teach you everything, from theory to actual experience. He pats the younger man's shoulder, laughing loudly. The atmosphere feels light, almost carefree. But then, a different voice cuts in, calm but firm. There's a saying, one man can serve many women, but a woman must remain loyal to her husband no matter what. The words land heavily. The younger man frowns slightly. And how could a woman like that accept another man? His gaze sharpens. That kind of thinking is exactly what a drunk fool would say. The mood shifts instantly. The playful tone disappears. One of the men scratches his head, trying to laugh it off. Come on, even old sages used to say things like that. A hero isn't flawed just because he has multiple wives. He smiles, as if it's common sense. In fact, embracing many women could even be considered a virtue. But the younger man doesn't smile, not even a little. Which lunatic said that? His eyes narrow. Was it Confucius or Lousy? The sarcasm cuts deep. Then his voice hardens. In my homeland, if you said something like that, you'd be beaten on the spot. Suddenly, he slaps the other man's hand away. The sound cracks through the air. Don't touch me. His expression is cold now. The other man blinks, caught off guard. Well, no need to get so worked up. But the tension doesn't fade, not even slightly. Another voice joins in, teasing. There's a saying in the Central Plains about rude people. The others look over. What saying? The answer comes bluntly. A barbarian who doesn't know proper manners acts arrogantly without even realizing it. Silence. Then, a sharp voice snaps back immediately. So that's how you see me. Her eyes burn with irritation. Thanks for saying that out loud. The tension spikes again. The younger man glances at her, then speaks calmly. I don't know who you'll end up marrying, but I already feel sorry for him. She glares at him, stunned. What did you just say? He doesn't even flinch. Don't worry, I would never choose you as my bride. That's it, the final straw. Her face turns red with fury. What? Did I ever say I wanted to marry some barbarian like you? He scoffs. I wouldn't accept you either if you came begging. I'd rather bite my tongue and die. The atmosphere explodes. You bastard! Her voice trembles with rage. You're asking to be killed. In one swift motion, she draws her blade. Steel flashes in the firelight. I'll cut that filthy tongue out myself. The swing down, fast, sharp, without hesitation. And just like that,
the playful conversation turns into a deadly confrontation.
The blade stops just inches from his neck. Cold steel reflects in his calm eyes. He doesn't flinch, not even a breath changes. Silence. Then, a furious shout erupts. "What is the meaning of this? Put your sword away at once!" But the tension breaks in an unexpected way. The girl suddenly steps back, her anger collapsing into embarrassment. Older brother, Her voice stubbles. "At once!" She lowers her blade. The storm fades just as quickly as it came. "Sorry, I said something I shouldn't have." She looks down, flustered, but the man she attacked simply brushes it off. "No, that child's reaction was wrong, but you didn't do anything wrong." Then his tone shifts, cold, firm. "If you ever act like that again, I won't let it slide so easily." A beat. Then he smiles faintly. "I'll stop you myself, so you don't say things like that again." A quiet laugh escapes him, but behind it, a warning. The night fades, and with it, the tension. The scene changes. Waves crash softly against the shore. Mist drifts over distant cliffs. Ships glide across the water, cutting through the morning fog. A hawk circles high above, watching, waiting. On the deck of a ship, men gather. The journey has begun. A voice asks calmly, "How long until we reach the Namgung family?" The answer comes without hesitation. 3 days by sea, and another day on horseback. Then we arrive. Above them, the hawk cries, "Ka, ka!" Its wings slice through the sky. One man looks up, recognizing it instantly. Iron blood? His eyes narrow. What is it? The bird circles again, louder this time, urgent. A voice calls out from below, "If you're bored, come down." But something feels off. The hawk cries again, sharper, more desperate. The man's expression hardens. Something's wrong. He suddenly raises his hand. "Stop the ship!" The entire deck freezes. Confusion spreads. Doesn't make any sense. But he's already moving, fast, determined. Ironblood wouldn't act like this unless something happened. Without another word, he sprints forward. Others follow behind him, because whatever's waiting ahead, it isn't good.
The ship creaks as it slows. The air suddenly feels wrong. A man grips the railing, eyes scanning the mist. Was there an accident? Another voice follows, uneasy. Has he been around here? Before anyone can answer, a scream pierces the air. Kya! Everyone turns instantly. What? What's wrong? A trembling hand points toward the water. And then they see it. Bodies, dozens of them, floating, lifeless, scattered across the river like broken debris. The mist drifts slowly, revealing more, and more, and more. Silence. Heavy. Suffocating. They're light path forces. The realization sinks in. A man clenches his jaw. Then his voice lowers. There must have been a fierce battle with the Peach Blossom family somewhere along this river. The implications hit instantly. If this many light path warriors are dead, then the enemy is far stronger than expected. Another voice speaks, tense but controlled. Then the Namgung family. He doesn't finish the sentence. He doesn't need to. A leader steps forward, expression hardened. We can't rush into a decision, not yet. His eyes scan the fog again, careful, calculating. Until we reach the Namgung family, we stay alert. Every step could be a trap. A soft sound breaks the tension. Caw! The hawk lands beside him. His cam returns to his face. Ironblood. Good job. He gently gestures toward the bird. If there's anything weird or out of place, let me know. Understood? Caw! The hawk responds immediately, then takes flight again, wings slicing through the mist. One of the companions watches in awe. That bird is incredibly intelligent. It's practically warning us of danger. The man smiles faintly. I've been with him since he was a chick. He's more like family to me. The hawk soars higher, circling above the battlefield below, watching, guiding. And then the narration shifts. The calm before the storm ends. The first battle of the war. Ha-e-jang, a fortress perched along jagged cliffs surrounded by mist and silence. Inside, monsters gather. Gui Gokja, the commander of the Light Path extermination forces, cold, ruthless, unshaken. Gung Sahun, the Peach Blossom Palace's executioner, the one who controls the military might, a man feared even among allies. Hen One Gang, guardian of the palace, wielder of Yanlo Wang's sword, a blade said to deliver judgment itself. And finally, two figures stand side by side. Their presence alone is suffocating. The ghastly-faced Slaughter Brothers. 4 forces, 1 battlefield. And across the river, unaware but walking straight into it, the next targets are coming.
Moksa-hyuk, the hand of the reincarnated, a man whose presence alone commands silence. Inside the hall, war leaders gather, seated in a circle, tension thick in the air. A messenger kneels at the center, reporting, his voice steady but heavy. Black-faced sword, Li Gui, and 30 men have been annihilated. Silence drops. Then, what? Gung Sa-hoon's eyes sharpen instantly. Over there, too? A shift in the air. Gui Gokcha turns his head slightly. A small reaction, but enough to show interest. To think they'd plan an ambush. His voice is calm, almost amused. Another man speaks, composed. It's unexpected that the Light Path would fight like this. Gung Sa-hoon scoffs loudly. Kwaha! So this is how cornered they are. But Gui Gokcha remains unfazed. Even so, we still have over 100 troops. He glances to the side, cold calculation in his eyes. If this continues, our forces will start to lose their morale. Gung Sa-hoon smirks loudly. Kwaha, you're the one in charge of this plan. Take your time. The one in charge? Gui Gokcha cuts in smoothly. That's not it. I'm just using my head. Then, his gaze sharpens. The downfall of the Namgung family is in your hands, Superior Elder. At that, a man slams his fist slightly. Superior Elder, if you issue orders for an attack, wouldn't waiting just give them time? Another voice joins in. We're well rested. We should attack now. Wipe them out all at once. Gung Sa-hoon leans back, unimpressed. Strategists? Everyone wants to attack, but when it comes to it, they hesitate. A shift. Decision time. Attack tonight, at midnight. All eyes turn. Gui Gokcha continues. Calm, precise. But before that, you must eliminate those insects in small groups. I'll take care of them. A swordsman steps forward without hesitation. How will you fight? Gung Sa-hoon asks. The answer comes instantly. I'll use their ambush tactics against them and lure them into a trap. Gung Sa-hoon bursts into laughter. Kwaha! Excellent. That will solve the problem quite easily. He leans forward. Now then, shall we discuss tonight's attack? But Moksa-hyuk speaks. Firm. Direct. What's there to discuss? We'll just fight head-on. Crack. His grip tightens. Gui Gokcha interrupts, calmly. They'll probably be fully prepared. He turns slightly. From what I've been told, there's a powerful camp near the Namgung family. Gung Sa-hoon's eyes widen. Camp? Yes. People from 3 huge families are probably there. A pause. Then a question. What about a way to get past the camp? Gui Gokcha answers without hesitation. It'll take time. A lot of it. But it's not impossible. His tone lowers. However, we'll lose too much time. Gung Sa-hoon narrows his eyes. Then what are you implying? A faint sound. Chin. A smile forms. Cold. Confident. I've come up with a secret plan.